All right, everybody, so the first two videos that we were looking at gave us the equations already. So the last video here is going to take us through what happens when we don't already have the equation. What happens when we have to solve for it? So this is actually going to take us back to completing the square, and it might have been a little bit of time since you've done this. So we're going to outline some pretty clear steps for how something like this works. So let's take an example of an equation. X squared 4x plus y squared equals 5. Well, in this situation before, if we had just y squared, we knew that that would mean that our y coordinate is 0. But in this case, we also have this 4x here. So that's going to make things a little bit difficult for us. So how do we address this? Well, what we want to do is separate our x and our y terms. So we'll put all of our x's here. Then we'll hit the space bar a whole bunch of times. We're not actually moving anything to a different side of the equation. We're just spacing things out. Move y squared over here. And then we still have our equal sign. We still have our 5. And what we need to do next is get ourselves into a form where we have x plus something or x minus something squared. So what are the steps for that? So first things first. Take your b term, or just x, and identify it. So in this case, that b term, or just the x term, not the x squared term, is 4. And we are going to divide by 2. So we're taking this term, we're dividing it by 2. Your second step is to take that answer and square it. So raise it to the second power. So in this case, 4 divided by 2 is 2. We take that 2 and we raise it to the second power. Okay? So we get our answer there of 4. Our last step is we have to keep balance. So we are going to add and subtract on the same side. So we're going to do plus 4 and minus 4 on the same side. So right here, we're going to add 4, and then actually anywhere else, maybe even just right next to it, we're going to subtract 4. And you might be thinking, well, Mr. Reardon, if we just did that, they cancel out. That's a whole waste of time. But hear me out. If we highlight this, x squared, 4x, and 4, we can actually put that into a box. So we're going to take our x squared, our 4x, and our 4, x squared and 4, and then we can factor this. And it actually turns into x plus 2 times x plus 2, or x plus 2 squared. So if we do that, all of this becomes x plus 2 squared. We still have our minus 4, we still have our y squared, and we still have 5. Well, in this case, we can just move this 4 over, and our final equation is x plus 2 squared plus y squared equals 9. And the reason why we did this is now we have this in a form that we can use. We know that our x value is going to be minus 2. We know our y value is 0 because it's just y squared. There's no parentheses there. And then now we also know that our radius equals 3. So we did all of those things together to get that as our final answer, following those 3 steps. Well, let's do one more question for practice. What happens if we have both of the terms? So x squared, y squared, 10x, 6y, and a positive 9, all of these equal 0. Well, same thing as before. Let's get those x terms and put them on one part, and our y terms and put them on the other part. Again, we're not moving them side to side. We are just going to hit the space bar a bunch of times. And again, we still have this 9 over here, and all of this equals 0. So again, we haven't moved anything around to the opposite side of the equation, still on the same side. And then now for both of these, we need to follow those steps. So first, take 10, divide it by 2. Next, square that answer. And then last, add and subtract it. So plus 25 and minus 25. Next, do the same thing for your y term. So 6 divided by 2. Next, 3 squared. Last, we're going to add and subtract 9. So to be clear with these, that's where we're adding and subtracting, and that's where we're adding and subtracting. Okay, so last step here, We can put both of these into boxes and factor them. It's going to be the same situation as before. That's going to be x plus 5 times x plus 5. This is going to be y plus 3 times y plus 3. We still have the minus 25. We still have the minus 9. And actually here we have that plus 9 as well. And all of this equals 0. So this is the equation that we got by completing the square and factoring for both of these terms. So minus 9 plus 9 minus 25 equals 0. And then we can add all these together, and that's just going to get us minus 25. Add 25 to both sides. And our final answer is an equation of a circle. So we have our center here at -5, -3, and we have our radius of 5. So again, the key thing for this is, can we get it to the equation of the center there? Trying to get to this form, and again, the way that we do it is by using these 3 steps and kind of hitting the space bar and rearranging things. All right, everybody, I know this is a tricky one, so save those questions for class, do the best that you can, and we'll get through